And good morning. It's Thursday, the 2nd of August, 2018. Welcome to this morning's United. I think we're bang on time today, aren't we? Bang on time. Look at that, 9:15 in the morning. Welcome along to our little show, boys and girls. I was doing a little bit of work last night on the chat system, and I think the chat's all coming up in one place now, so we'll see how we get on with that this morning. Aren't you glad you're not going on a holiday to Spain? Or maybe you're on your way there already? Are you? Oh, look at this. Holiday Brits have been warned of a killer Spanish plume with highs of 48 degrees centigrade. 48 degrees centigrade. Now, bear in mind, water boils at 100, okay, and it freezes at 0. So 48 degrees centigrade is somewhere almost halfway to boiling point. I don't know how you're going to survive in that without any sort of air cooling system. The trouble is, I mean, you might as well say, oh, just have a fan. The trouble is with a fan, once it gets, it's all right if it's warm. It's all right if it's a little bit hot. But once it starts getting really hot, I've noticed you sit in a fan and it just blows hot air at you. You might as well have the hairdryer on. I don't know how people are going to survive in that, especially if you're not used to it. I suppose people in like Arabic countries, some of which watch this show actually, in Arabic countries like Iran, Iraq, places like that, Palestine, that sort of place, they'd be more used to that sort of heat, wouldn't they? And the Spanish, I know it's hot in Spain, but 48 degrees. It's a story in The Sun this morning and many of the other papers. Holiday Brits have been warned of a killer Spanish plume. Plume. I thought that was something to do with birds' feathers, a plume, but never mind. A killer Spanish plume with highs of 48 degrees centigrade tomorrow and a second 36 degrees furnace to hit the UK on Friday. Although not up here. I've been checking the weather map, so we're getting close to that, sort of about 26, 27 in Lincolnshire. It's down in London and in the southeast where you're going to get that really hot sort of 33, 34, 35 degrees, perhaps on Friday, which just happens to be the day that I shall be travelling back, and at that time of the day. Good job I got the air conditioning in the car. I don't like to turn it on though. Oh my God, I'm sure that makes a difference to your petrol consumption, you know. I can see that needle going down. Well, I've got a needle, but I do keep an eye on my miles per gallon. Do you? It's funny, you don't when you're young, do you? When you sort of do like 18, 19, 20, 22, 25 even, you're not bothered about how much petrol you use. Just as fast as you just need to go as fast as the car can possibly take you, don't you? Me, I've got my eye on that miles per gallon. Oh, let me come off that accelerator. There's miles of traffic behind me when I'm driving. I'm telling you that now. So it says here, the intense heat across Europe is down to hot African air blowing northwards. So, I mean, I certainly wouldn't like to be in that. I was looking at the weather this morning on the BBC site, and like, you know, we're in like dark. I mean, is there a colour such as dark orange? We're in dark orange tomorrow down in the southeast. But Spain, oh my God, it's like red, dark red. Never seen anything like it. Anyway, that's the weather for tomorrow. And we need a weather map there. Have you noticed anything new? Look. Anything new? Anything you haven't, have you? No, because you only look for things that have gone wrong. I bet there's people on here now, and I shall go to the messages in a moment. There's people on there now who will already be looking for things that are wrong. So, oh, that's slightly crooked, or something like that. No one's noticed the beautiful orchid as purchased for me by my sister. Thank you very much, Sharon Butler. And I've bought up the little Lego caravan, which I created from little bricks just a month or so ago. Isn't that lovely? I've got to put that away when great niece George and great nephew George and great nephew Harry come round, because they'll want to take it apart. Oh, let's take it apart and put it back together, smashing it on the floor. Yes, exactly. Let's say hello to some of you this morning now. Let's see if this chat thing is working. I think it is. But that means all the chats are mixed in with each other, but in order in which they came in. So here we go. First message of the morning goes to Paul Mosley in Birmingham. Good morning, Paul. Now, I saw Birmingham on the television this morning while I was watching BBC Breakfast with my favourite BBC Breakfast presenter, the very stunningly looking Ben Bland. Did you see him? I don't know why he's called Bland. I suppose he is a little bit bland, really. looks pretty. If you have a conversation with him without the auto cue, not so sure. But he's very good looking. So he's on there this morning with the one with the blonde hair, which I quite like her as well. She sounds like she's a bit anti-mobile phone to me. I don't know if you've heard the story of the mobile phones. We've got that coming up in the show as well. So good morning, Paul. But while they were interviewing some technology person who was in Birmingham, and there it was, shining away behind them, that absolutely ghastly Selfridges building in Birmingham. It looks horrendous, that does. Actually, the buildings on the left-hand side of the picture didn't look too bad at all. You know, a couple of skyscrapers, not bad. It's just that Selfridges building. It's horrendous. I mean, can't they paint it yellow or something like that? It just gleams at you, doesn't it? Good morning, Paul. Morning to Joanna. Morning, Ben Parker on the Facebook. First message in this morning from Shania Steele. Well, I beg your pardon. Shania gets the first message in this morning on the Isle of Wight. Morning, Shania. Ben Parker's there. Christina Ewing down in Portsmouth. Diane Jeb. Good morning, Diane. John Parrish over on YouTube. Ray Reynolds is there. Good morning, Ray. Ray Reynolds International. Ray, I got a message from Tom last night. He was watching the test. We were doing a little bit of a test broadcast last night. You won't be able to see that because I've deleted it now, just to check out if the chat thing was working, and it was, and it seems to be working now. So that's good news, isn't it? Anyway, apparently Tom Edwards was having a little look in, and he's not far from here at all. I'm hoping to meet up with him either next week or the week after. Tom Edwards, he did a lot of radio and television stuff. I personally know him from the telly, from when he introduced he was the InVision continuity announcer, a job which I wanted to do as a child. I've got to tell you that. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be an InVision continuity announcer or the voice behind the globe on BBC One. I think I more wanted to be the voice behind the globe, but of course the InVision continuity announcers, that all those jobs have gone. They don't exist anymore. You know, replaced by a corporate logo. All the friendliness has gone on ITV. It doesn't feel it's friendly to watch anymore. You know what I mean? A little bit like going in Waitrose, where it is very friendly. And the staff talk to you, and you get to know the people on the desks and what have you, or Sainsbury's, where they just couldn't give a toss whether you're there or not. In my opinion, it's a bit like that. Anyway, that job went, and that's what Tom used to do. That's what was one of Tom's many jobs over the years. He used to sit there and tell you what was coming up next on Thames. You know, so I'm hoping to meet him next week, which would be great, absolutely great. Good morning to Sharon Stone. Good morning, Sharon. One of my favourite ever black cat people. You absolutely are, Sharon. I don't just say that, darling. You were just fantastic. You really are. You are. I'm talking like you were dead then. Did you see that? You were. No, you are. You are one of my favourite black cat people of all time. You really are. Paul's just said his weigh in. 12 stone, 6 pounds this morning. Not Slimming World, but just wanted to lose a bit of weight. Well, how much have you lost, Paul? 12 stone 6 don't sound too bad for me. I'm 12. So I don't know how tall you are. I'm 5'8". 5'8". So 12 stone 6. Don't know how it all depends on your tallness, doesn't it? On your size going upwards. Now, my mate is a bit taller than me, so he can weigh a bit more than me. People who are very tall, actually, people who are very tall seem to be thin naturally, don't they? It's as if someone comes along, like little people come along while they're asleep and stretch them at night. Do you think that's what happens to tall people? Is that why they don't put any weight on? The little people got little gnomes and things like that. My sister keeps buying me gnomes at the moment. I've got 2 now. I've got 2 gnomes. Where are they? And I've positioned them on the handrail. I'll take a picture at some point. She keeps buying me gnomes. My mate hates gnomes. My mate's due to come up here at some point in the next couple of weeks as well. And he'll hate the gnomes. I must buy more. I want them all along the handrail on the veranda. I will take a picture, okay? Talking of pictures, a couple of you have sent me a private message and asked for this picture, because this is an actual picture that I took. I didn't buy it off shelf. So I'm going to show that to you in a moment, the picture directly sort of on the screen. So if you want to take a screen grab of that, get ready by your computers. And you'll be able to do that, okay? Let's just say a quick hello to Maureen is with us this morning. Very good morning to you, Maureen. She joins us on a nice large television in her expensive mansion that she lives in London. Maureen is one of the richest people in London, and she watches this show. It's unbelievable, isn't it? She brings food in for everyone. Little bars of chocolate. How kind. There are some kind people in this world. Right, do you want to see this picture then? You ready? Here it comes. Get ready with your screen grabbers. Here we go. There we are. That is the actual picture used behind me. Sent away and blown up at enormous cost. All right. Hurry up and take your screen grab, and I'll do a couple of messages while you're looking at that. Paul says, how can you go to the loo and put on a pound? What's that? What, you weighed yourself before and after the loo? Did you? I don't know. I don't think it works like that. I'm not quite sure how that works. What I do know is that I can weigh myself in the morning and be just a touch over a pound, right? First thing in the morning, like you get up, of course you have a wee first, of course you do. And it might be like 12 pounds, right? Then I'll have 2 large cups of tea. This, which will be full of my anti-constipation powder, which you have to have, right? Not a joke, honestly. So I have a powder thing in one of those, so that's full of water. And then I'll have my breakfast, which will be an overnight oats with berries and oats and things like that in. And that is, and then I weigh myself, and it's like 12 stone, 4 pounds. Oh, God, you know. Then I go swimming, and I come back, and it's then 12 stone, 1 pound. It's like 3 pounds you've lost while you were swimming. So it does. It varies all the time, doesn't it, like that? That's what I said to you. If you want to cheat a little bit, then if you go to any sort of Slimming World or Weight Watchers or anything like that, then you get up in the morning, just have a little bit of a sip of water, you know, to get you going. Don't have anything to eat, and then go and weigh yourself. And once you've weighed yourself, then come back, and then you can have what you want. Chocolate bars, crisps, have a portion of chips as well while you're at it. You know, everything fried. As long as you've had that weigh-in first, okay? That's the secret there. Morning to Kelly Kim. Good morning. She's now on her summer holidays. Are you going on a summer holiday? Are you going to Cliff Richard's flat? Perhaps that's a little inappropriate. Good morning, Kelly Kim. Hope you're enjoying your summer holidays. Week 1 of 5. Is that all you get? 6 weeks? Kelly Kim is I can tell them now, can't they? Kelly Kim is a school teacher. And she's a very good school teacher. She comes along to the karaoke nights, and I used to throw bits of paper at her, and she would give me a look, like a teacher's look. A teacher's look like this. She'd look at, if I were throwing, but she'd be happily having a conversation with her friend Laura. Chat, 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 chat. And then I'd throw a bit of paper, and then she'd go like this. Like that. And I would feel compelled to stop. You see? See, you don't have to go around hitting the kids. Just give them one of those looks that Kelly Kim can do very well. And actually, Kelly Kim, you do remind me of my niece. She's good at doing that as well. My niece is good at the looks. She absolutely is. Good morning to Martin on Periscope this morning. Morning, Martin. Stuart Skinner says, don't forget the normal body temperature is around 36 to 37 degrees. So that's a hell of a job to control in that sort of heat. Good point, Stuart. You see, so the outside temperature in Spain is going to be well over your normal body heat. How does the body get that temperature down? I'll tell you what I was looking at today. I was looking at that red map on the weather, and I was thinking about Mars. You know, the planet Mars, and how we call it the red planet, and what happened years ago. We don't know what happened years ago. They say at one point it must have had an atmosphere, and if you believe that time is like forever and space goes on forever and all that, it just does my head in. That does. Right? How do we know that Mars wasn't exactly the same as this at some point. Okay? So in front of, it could have been some bloke sitting in a caravan doing a show in front of a field, as I am now. And then for some reason, the planet got hotter and hotter and hotter. And that's why it became the red planet. Is the same thing happening here? Are we on our way out? Do you ever think of that? Because this is not normal, this heat, is it? It's not normal at all. Julian, good morning to you. Julian says we've had 48 degrees centigrade last week in Palma. Julian, how do you do that? Ceiling fan on full blast, windows wide open and just about surviving. Julian, would you consider putting the aircon in? Would you not put air conditioning in Palma? Have you got something like that there? Or is it just prohibitively expensive? I know some countries are cheaper to put in air conditioning than others. And in other countries that we've got the air conditioning, the electricity is horrendously expensive. In Australia, apparently, that's a very expensive place to buy electricity. You'd think in Australia they'd have a lot more solar panels than they do, wouldn't you? But no, I think there were. Last time I was there, which was about 5 or 6 years ago, they were talking about building another nuclear power station in Australia, and yet they've got all that sun. Why don't they just stick some panels on all that country that they don't use? Very strange. Angela Waters likes the tea towel I'm wearing this morning. Thank you, Angela. See, there you go. See, pointing out faults all the time. People like to point out faults. Andrew says going to be hot in here in Spain. Yes, indeed. I do not love that building, Paul. That Selfridges building in Birmingham is awful. Get rid of it, dear. I shall send in demolition people to blow it up. Either that or some religious extremists, one or the other. Whichever's quickest. Morning, Claire. Morning to Claire. She says, lost a magnificent £0.5 at Slimming World yesterday after what I thought was a really good week. No, Claire, £0.5 is down. £0.5 is good. Whether it's £10, which is fantastic, or £0.5 makes no difference. Claire, do you have a little calculator with you, dear? Okay. Times £0.5 by 52 weeks. How much would you have lost in a year if you lost £0.5 in a week? I think you'll find it's about 2 stone. Yes, exactly. So £0.5 is £0.5. If it's going down, please don't be disappointed. Do not be disappointed at you losing such a small amount, because it's not such a small amount. It's still £0.5. Go and pick up £0.5 of sugar. Eh? Oh, talking of £0.5 of sugar, I must tell you, my mate, he's just been BA economy flight to Turkey and back, right? And he was on the economy seats, and he said they were weighing all the bags. Now, he's got various disabilities and he's got equipment to carry around, so they didn't weigh his bag. So full marks to them for that. But they were wearing like normal people's bags, like they were weighing, like if I was to get on there. And those that were over, he said they were charging £40 per kilo. Does that sound right to you lot? £40 a kilo to take onto the planes. £40. So what's that? $70, $60, $65 per kilo of weight. Now bear in mind, a bag of sugar weighs a kilo. There must have been hundreds of pounds passing over. That's on BA economy. Untrue, isn't it? All that. I don't know how much a kilo isn't. What's a pound to a kilo? I think it's £4 to a kilo, something like that. Is it? Is it? I'm not quite sure. Good morning, Carl Rex Monsoon. Good morning. Claire's going out to lunch at Smith and Weston, which is a Western-themed restaurant on Box Hill now. Oh, Box Hill. Now you're talking, Claire. I haven't been to Box Hill, which is in Surrey, for years. Fantastic place. What used to happen is motorcyclists, young people on, well, not just young and old people on motorcyclists, that would be their like place to all meet up at the top of Box Hill. And if I remember rightly, there was a place at the top where you could have a meal and a cup of tea. There's a car park, and it's a very tall hill, basically. That's why it's called Box Hill. She says beautiful fields, beautiful views of the North Downs amidst the pine trees. You can imagine yourself the Midwest in America. Yeah, except there's no tumbleweeds. They should employ people on Box Hill to throw tumbleweeds down there to make it more authentic. You see those, don't you, on those? You know, never see Western films anymore. I suppose they'd be considered racist now, would they? Western films like with John Wayne. And now who's the other bloke? John Wayne. And of course I remember the TV series The Virginian. Oh, the music. Dun 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 dun. Oh, The Virginian. We remember that. Yeah, and Lone Ranger. Yes. I love it. There was another, I think it was a Western type. It might not have been a Western, actually. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was. And what was the film? So there was this bloke, and he was a bit racist, and he lived next to a foreign family, and the bloke was on his own, but he got friendly with the lady's son, and the son got into trouble, but he sorted it out for him, and he used to lend him his car. Can't remember the name of that film now. It was a charming film, and at the end of it, the bloke dies because the boy had got into trouble with some other kids who were threatening him and that, and the bloke went to sort it out, and the way he wanted to do it was to get them put in prison. So basically, he's gone to meet them all, and he put his hand in his pocket, and that, of course, they all thought he was going to shoot them all, so they shot him first. Then when the police came, they searched him, and he didn't have a gun on him. He just put his hand in his pocket, so they arrested everyone and put him in prison. I can't remember the name of that film now. Can't remember. Yeah, Joanna says, congratulations, every pound you lose is a great loss. It absolutely is, Claire. Don't worry about losing only half a pound, for Christ's sake. That's still down. Claire's got just another £5 to go. That's all right. I'd give yourself 2 months to lose that, Claire. Why don't you say, what are we now? August, September. 2 months to October. August, September. I'm going to Vegas in October. I'm going to spending money yet. I haven't. Honestly, I haven't saved any spending money up for that. I'm supposed to be taking my nephew there. Oh dear, I'm looking forward to that. Oh, October. So what are we now? Yeah, it's 2 months till I go to Vegas. Very exciting. Morning to Handy Andy over on the Facebook morning. Sarah Lou Lace. Hello, my darling. Hope you're well. Paul is 5'9" and was 13 stone. Heaviest I've been this year. 12 stone is your target weight. So you're nearly there. You're halfway there, mate. Carry on. Whatever you're doing, carry on. Okay? Because it clearly works for you. I've got to be honest with you. I don't stick completely to the Slimming World plan. I don't. I've found what works for me, and that's what I do. And that's what you've got to do. Find what works for you. If you can go on the Slimming World plan thing, which remember isn't a diet, if you can go on that, you will lose weight. End of story. I've not met anyone who it hasn't worked for. No one. And once you get down there, then you can muck about a bit and see what works for you and what doesn't. What's working for me at the moment is coming up here, being a bit naughty while up here. Well, unfortunately, not with other people. You know, a bit naughty with the food while I'm up here. That's working for me. And then when I go back down south, I'm good all the time. I'm bang on plan, and that's kind of working for me at the moment. Hilal. Now that's an interesting thing, Hilal. Good morning and welcome to the show, Hilal. Says, has the height of a person got anything to do with his attraction? Do you know, I think it has. I fancy taller people, I must admit. I think it might well have. Do you think we should all go out and extend our legs? Can you do that? I mean, you can have facial surgery, can't you? And some people are absolutely ghastly once they've had facial surgery. They really do. Can you have leg extensions put on? I might try that. Perhaps I can learn to walk around on a pair of stilts. See if I can get chatted up again there. That might be an idea. Good morning to John Aitken. Did you enjoy Mamma Mia 2? I loved it and laughed and cried throughout it. Yes, I did, and I didn't. Now, so we went out to see Mamma Mia yesterday, boys and girls, at a place called the Kinema In The Woods. Now, this is like a really old-fashioned cinema, and it's a lovely little place. And it was packed in there last night. I've got a picture here. There we are. That's me there, obviously. That's my niece sitting next to me there, and that's her daughter Emily there, sitting there. You can't see, but little Emily's got some lipstick on there. She looks fantastic. So two divas and a slightly aging puff off off to see Mamma Mia last night. We had to queue to get in there, and it was packed. It was absolutely packed. I don't think I've ever been to a cinema, and it's packed at like what was the film time? I think it was 5 o'clock. The film time was 5 o'clock. They had a little bit of a problem with us getting in. Something went wrong with the internet, which does all the tickets and all that sort of thing. But we got in eventually. And it's not a massive cinema. There's no air conditioning. It got a bit warm in there, I must say. But there wasn't a single seat empty. So you go in, you buy some sweets. The sweets are not rip-off prices like what you get in Odeon. I mean, it's shocking. And Cine Showcase and places like that. You know, for example, the big packets of sweets. Now, I didn't buy any of those yesterday, okay? But often in the supermarkets, you can get those for £1. You can actually get those bags of sweets for £1. You go to the cinema and they're £5 plus. In there, £2.99, £2.49 I think they were, which was, you expect them to be a little bit dearer in the cinema, but not the absolute rip-off prices that they charge in the Odeon and places like that. Just fill up your pockets before you go in. That's what I say. So, I bought some popcorn. I don't know how many sins and that great big popcorn. It was only a medium, but they're so big, aren't they? I think I bought some sweets for them. My niece bought the ticket, which was, I think the ticket was £6. I think it was £6 to go and see the film, and we sat in there. The adverts are playing, and on the side of the stage, I did have some more pictures which I haven't loaded onto the system. And I've done a little video which I'll try and get ready for you tomorrow, okay? If not, Saturday. There's a piano on the side of the stage. And there's a curtain that comes down, like a proper old-fashioned curtain that comes down like that and goes up and whatever. And the film plays. And then they have an intermission. I kid you not, they stop halfway through. It doesn't say end of part 1 or anything like that. Tom Edwards doesn't come on in between the two, you know, and start giving us a little bit of chat, which we used to love. Or who was the other bloke on there that I liked? Philip Elsmore, he was the other bloke on Thames Television, and another one with a moustache, who all used to do Miss World as well. Can't remember anyway. So the film literally just stops, and it goes blank, and then you go out and get ice creams and go to the toilet, and then when the film stops, a man comes up on an organ and starts playing the organ. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it's a proper organ, and over on the side of the, well, it's a stage, on the side of the stage is little bells and that, and while he's playing the organ, these bells seem to play. Fantastic. And what was it? He was actually playing Mamma Mia songs on the organ. Absolutely brilliant. And he's on for about 20 minutes, after which, and it comes up like that, like really old-fashioned. And then the film finishes at the end, and the thing comes back down like that, and then that's the end of it. Wonderful. The organ comes down like that, the film comes back on, the film finishes, and it's over. Fantastic. If you ever come to Lincolnshire, you've got to go and look it up. Please look it up. Kinema, Kinema, Kinema in the Woods. And they're adding a second screen and another car park, because, I mean, the car park was packed there. There was nowhere to go. Brilliant. The film. Okay, so if you are a die-hard ABBA fan, I don't think you'll like it. The singing is very mediocre. I wasn't impressed at all by Cher's singing, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't. The storyline is there's not much of a storyline. But, I can't sit here and say it's a rubbish film, because it's not. It's a feel-good film. A little bit like, I'm sorry, we've got planes going over now. There go the tornadoes or whatever they are. A bit like, do you remember Village People Can't Stop the Music. Now that was absolutely slated by the critics, as indeed was Xanadu from years ago with Olivia Newton-John. But they are feel-good films. You watch it, and it doesn't matter that the singing isn't all that. And believe me, some of that singing is bad. Some of the singing is really bad in that. It doesn't matter that there's not much of a storyline, because there isn't. There really isn't much of a storyline. It's just a feel-good film, and you feel great sitting there watching it. And when you come up, you're kind of singing along and humming the tunes. And there's a sad bit right at the end where me and my niece, little tears were in our eyes, but I won't tell you what it was. Yeah, go and see it. It's all right. It's not a rubbish film at all. Go and see it. It's good. All right, John. So that's me. One moment, please. Ray says, hope we get to meet Tom. Pontin's Pakefield, is that where he works? And Radio City in the Thames. He's done all the things that we both share and love to this day. Yeah, I loved Pontin's. I absolutely loved going on Pontin's holidays. They were the best, weren't they? Pontin's holidays and pirate radio and all that business. Good morning to nephew Gary Butler, who's probably on his way to work at the moment. I popped over to Jimmy Butler's work. Jimmy Butler is my younger nephew. He's got a garage, and his brother Gary is helping him at the moment because he's got a lot of work on. And I popped up there after the show yesterday to see them both, and they're both doing sanding cars down and doing painting and stuff. And we went to the chip shop actually in Horncastle. So we come out of his little unit, and it's only I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes down the road, this chip shop. And as I got there, I noticed that the parking spaces, there were cars on the parking space and then double yellow lines. And I said, there's nowhere to park. He said, well, just go behind the car there. I said, well, that's not in the parking spot. He said, it's not London here. He said, you'll be all right there for a couple of minutes. And sure enough, I was. The trouble is, driving in London, let me tell you, if you haven't driven in London, don't. It's an absolute nightmare. If you accidentally stray into a bus lane or stop for more than 10 seconds on a double red line, they are down on you like a ton of bricks. They really are. Or there'd be a camera somewhere to take a photograph of your car and then automatically... It's horrendous. It's horrendous. Why anyone would ever want to drive in London unless they absolutely had to, I do not know. Not in Horncastle. You literally get out your car. You keep an eye on it. You see, that's what I always remember. You would keep an eye on your car. You might stop there for like 10 seconds or something like that. And you keep an eye, and if someone was coming towards you, if it was a parking warden, they wouldn't just immediately snap, ticket, walk off. They'd wait for you for a couple of minutes. You see what I mean? This is where it's so different these days. They can't wait to get a ticket and slap it on that car there. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. So we got the chips, which were dirt cheap. I think I got 3 bags of chips, a roll and 2 drinks for like £6 or £5 or something like that. Went back to the garage and had some of that. And then I went to see my sister. I had to get a couple of washers. My nephew's got like a toolbox of all sorts of bits and pieces, and I needed a couple of washers because we're in here, one of the air things, like a roof light type thing, the insect screen has kind of broken. Where it had 2 screws, the screw has now gone through the plastic. So it needs a couple of washers on there to make it a bit wider so it sticks on there again. Sharon loves my gorgeous shirt. Thank you, Sharon. So after that, I went to my sister's and I went and bought a couple of ice creams, which was nice. We had a couple of ice creams. When I came back here, I had a quick sleep. I wasn't asleep for very long. And then went to see Mamma Mia with my niece and great niece, which was a great film. After that, went to my niece's house for a while. And George, great nephew George, decided that I wasn't going to have any of his popcorn. So I kept nicking the bag, and he'd nick it back and I'd nick it. And then he kicked me. He did one of his high kicks, which hit my elbow. Unfortunately, I think God punished him. God punished him at this point, because what happened is that he kicked my elbow and then he was screaming his head off. He'd hurt his foot. Serves him right. Don't kick poor old Uncle Chris then. And it won't happen, will it? God punished him, you see. That's what happened. He was in tears. I feel very sad when I see a child crying. I really do. I try not to show it, but whenever I see a child in distress of any sort, whether they've fallen over, my heart melts. It really does. Does yours? I feel really, really sad when a child gets hurt for whatever reason, whether they're simply fallen over or something like that. Little Emily, the girl who you saw in the picture there, she got a little cut on her foot, and it was the tiniest cut ever, but it was really bothering her. And they have to have plasters, don't they? Do you notice that? Children must have a plaster if there's a cut. Where's my plaster? They do plasters with little animal pictures on and things like that, don't they? Sharon says it's a gorgeous shirt. Do you think so, Sharon? It's a bit old. This is an old shirt, Sharon. Hello, Sarah says, I hope your day wasn't too tough yesterday. Certainly not, my darling. I don't have tough days up here. Every day is a holiday up here. Good morning to Wayne Martin. Good morning, Wayne. N, normal people baggage. I think I am normal people baggage on a plane, aren't I? Normal people. Angela, on the subject of the electricity bills in Australia, her electricity bill is about $3,200 a year. Now, actually, is that Australian? So, what is it, a third? Or is it half? Is it £1 to £2 to dollars? So we're talking £1,600 a year. Okay, well that's... I don't think that's much of ours, actually. Average hours, not mine, because I've got solar panels. My electricity bills are ridiculously low. It's something like £400 a year or something. I don't think they're even that, actually. I'll have to get a bill out and have a look at some point. Let's have a look. 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds, says Ben. Thank you very much. N says, how's your eyesight? You look like you would have glaucoma's disease. What's wrong with my eyes? Nothing wrong with my eyes this morning. No, nothing wrong with my eyes. Thank you very much. 33 degrees already. Where Julian is this morning, it's too much. John remembers Bonanza. Was that Bonanza, that one? I think that was the tune to that one. Michael Landon was so handsome. Of course, even more handsome in Little House on the Prairie. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. I think my niece always wanted the pigtails that the little girl had running down the hills. Claire says at the National Trust Cafe on Box Hill, all the cyclists go up there in their lycra. Oh, what do they look like? What do those cyclists... They think it looks good. It's like people who have the facial surgeries, Claire. They think they look good. I don't know if you saw the show yesterday, but there was one lady on the radio. She said she was at this party and someone turned round who had facial surgery. She looked like she was a Siamese cat. How hilarious is that? I don't think I could look and not laugh. You'd be holding your mouth, and then you know they'd look at you thinking, I wonder what they're laughing at. They wouldn't realise. Because these people who have the facial surgery, they think it looks good. They think, oh, incidentally, have you noticed I don't seem to shave when I'm up here? Look, I'm looking really butch today, don't you think? Shall I leave this on Friday? What do you reckon, Claire? Shall I not have a shave on Friday? How's that looking for you? Claire says... Box Hill was about 10 times busier than it was before the Olympics, but it's one of the best viewpoints in Surrey. Oh, I'll go along with you there. I'll absolutely go along with you there. N says it's already October here. No, it's not. It's not. How is it October here already? It's beautiful here. Good morning, Diane Strelly. Good morning, Diane. It's your birthday today, isn't it? Hey, happy birthday to you, darling. I'll do the birthdays very shortly at the end of the show. All right. There we are, lots of people wishing Diane happy birthday there. She got a cool microphone for her birthday. You're not going to sing into it. Please don't start singing, for God's sake, woman. Not at this time of the morning, Diane. Are you coming along Friday night to the karaoke? Pop along Friday. Pop along Friday to karaoke for your birthday celebrations. Good morning, Michael, who says great weather on the east coast of Lowestoft. That's a holidaymaker's destination, isn't it? Lowestoft. Yeah, my nan used to go there a lot. Good morning to Ashley Russell. Good morning, Ashley. Hello to Paul, who's in Sheffield on this Thursday morning. Morning, Paul. And Mank Dwarf. Good morning to you on Periscope. Yes, indeed. Are we talking about Rocky Horror? No. I was never a fan of Rocky Horror. Never a fan at all. Sweet Transvestite and that one where everyone dances. What's it called? Oh, I can't remember now. You're astounding. Life is fleeting. Let's do the time warp. No, I hate them. Isn't that funny? I just don't like that Rocky Horror thing at all. I've never seen it either. It's just a bit odd. Mind you, aren't we all? Aren't we all? Wayne remembers when a lot of cinemas were like the Kinema. Yeah, it's a really good place to go and visit. The Kinema in the Woods here in Lincolnshire. N says, why ever have children? They are so annoying. Yeah, but we love them. We love children. We love children. Someone mentioned in Mr. Bean there that the good news is that there's a new Johnny English film coming out soon where he kind of does his own version of James Bond. So that's coming out, I think, in the next couple of months because they were trailing that at the cinema yesterday, all right? N drove from Peterborough to Bath and back. Oh, that's not too bad, is it? I don't think that's too bad. Where are we? Ashley says, Chris, my dad goes cycling. Where's them cycling clothes? Well, tell him not to, for God's sake. Get rid of those awful cycling clothes if you don't mind. All right? Horrible. On the and Handy Andy's never been to Rocky Horror either. No, I'm just not keen on that at all, that programme. Right, now this struck me as an interesting story this morning, boys and girls, on the BBC Breakfast News about smartphones. You may have seen it already, but they reckon now the average daily time spent on a smartphone. How much do you think you spend on a smartphone in a day? Any idea? Now, I'm afraid you are going to be at a disadvantage to this question because you probably watch this show for an hour a day already, so you've got to include the hour. Those of you that are watching this show on your smartphones must include that hour in your answer. All right? Have you any idea how much time you spend on a smartphone? Well, a survey's been done, and it says the average time spent on a smartphone is 2 hours, 28 minutes a day, rising to 3 hours, 14 minutes for the 18 to 24-year-olds, the report indicates. N has already asked this. He says he reckons 12 hours at most. You spend 12 hours on your mobile phone. Oh, come on, you don't, do you? Not as long as that, surely. What do you reckon you spend on yours? There's probably an app. Is there an app that could give you a good time? I'll look for one of those later, actually. Let me just write that down. And I'll time myself. Look for smartphone time app. Let me just write that down and I'll see if I can find one there. And indeed says I could easily do 12 hours on his smartphone. Ashley says he spends about 3 hours on his smartphone. God, really? But it's the 18 to 24-year-olds that are spending most time. Now, I'm sure that is the case because whenever I'm out somewhere, certainly while I'm on karaoke, there are certain people in there who are constantly on their phones. They're not like really communicating with anyone else on the table. They simply sit on there, and for the whole time they're in there, they are totally and utterly addicted to their smartphones. Tap, 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 tap. And I've said to them before, put the phone down. It's not making you happy. Unless, of course, you're watching this show. In which case, I do my best to make you happy in any way I can. And for an additional fee, I'll come around and tickle you. I will. I will come around and tickle you for just £5 for 5 minutes worth of tickling. Wayne says, I watch you for an hour, so I'd say 4 or 5 hours on the phone a day. What do we used to do? You're not seeing anything around you anymore. Now, when I finish this, I have to do stuff to it to make the recording, write the programme summary and things like that. But once I finish that, I'm outside and I just sit there and look out into the fields. I've always got something to do anyway, you know. But I often, I've learnt only recently to actually put the phone in another room. I don't turn it off. I put the phone in another room if I'm about to watch a television programme, because you just can't watch the whole show. And you watch bits, oh, what happened there? What happened there? You miss it. The story goes on, most people expect a constant internet connection, with a majority of adults saying the internet is an essential part of their lives, and 1 in 5 spending more than 40 hours a week online. I reckon I do that. I reckon I do that. Sharon says they're 24/7 on their phones, does my head in. Is that your kids? Is that your kids, Sharon? I think they're on them a lot, aren't they? Paris and that. Wayne says in settings on an iPhone you can get timings including most used app. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good, isn't it? But it goes on. The average is a more modest 24 hours a week online, with more than half of that time spent on mobile phones. Now, that was another part of the story. Another part of the story was that we are spending now less time talking on the phone. And I can perfectly believe that. A really good example of that is, you know, when you've tried to ring someone, yeah, and they don't answer, and then later on, rather than them ringing you, they send you a text. Oh, you tried to ring me earlier. Try again now. Why didn't you just pick up the phone and ring back? I am a hater of texts. I'll tell you that now. I have been for some time, ever since they were invented or discovered. Invented. Ever since texts were invented, I've not been a fan of text. I find them completely and utterly impersonal. You couldn't be bothered to make a phone call, so you've sent a text. That's how I feel about texts. I always have done. And I find them intrusive as well. You're sitting there and a text comes. And some people are so bloody impatient, aren't they? They send a text, then 5 minutes later, they send you 2 question marks. And then, why have you sent me question marks? You haven't replied to my text. Well, ring then. I don't do texts. Often I don't reply to texts now. I just leave them. And you never hear from the person again. They don't ring. They might send you a couple of question marks, but they never pick up the phone and ring you. I wonder why people don't want to talk to you anymore. Why is that? Isn't it a strange thing? Sharon says, no life, no conversation in this house. Have more fun with my pets. I don't know. I mean, I've never had a good conversation with a goldfish, to be honest, Sharon. Cordy says, why don't they ring back? It's rude. Well, I think it is. You must see the missed call. You must see the missed call on your phones. Why the hell don't they ring back? I really don't like text messages. Even it has to be said, you have to, on the Facebook messaging thing, you have to be invisible on there. Because the moment that green light is on next to your name, people think they can start sending you messages and start having conversations. Well, you can't get anything done. The moment you open up the available for chat thing, messages start pouring in from all over the place. Hi, how are you? Well, I'm all right. What do you want? I'm just asking how you are. Well, what's the point of that? I'm trying to do something here. You know what I mean? So never ever have that chat thing open, because it's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. N says he loves his kitties so much. He's got kitty cats. We love kitty cats. Handy, handy. Nothing better than receiving a letter from loved ones instead of texts. A letter is more personal to me. Yes. When's the last time you got a letter? I must admit, I get an annual letter from one of my mother's friends, which comes through, and I delight in reading the letter, and I rarely reply to it, I must admit. I don't know, it's something about picking up a pen, isn't it? Picking up a pen. We can't be bothered to pick up a pen anymore even, could we? Paul says you should be on LBC radio. No, Paul. No, LBC is not what... I don't do that, you see. I honestly don't do that. They're very political and very boring on there now. There's a couple of... And I've talked about this so many times now. A lot of the flair has gone. You see, Like in the Knobs and Broomsticks film, I believe anything to do with show needs to be done with a bit of flair. And there's a couple of people on LBC now who are as boring as sin. They really are. Matt Stadlen's one, he's on Weekends at Night. There's no flair there whatsoever. He is as boring as sin. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that he's far, far more intelligent than me. And he knows what he's talking about. But there's no flair. There's no personality. At the other end of the scale, the person with the most flair on there, there's no question about it, Mr. Steve Allen. Fantastic show, full of flair. They don't want someone who just sits there and rambles rubbish, I'm afraid. Someone asked me to describe my show the other day. And I said to them, well, I talk uneducated rubbish for an hour with great enthusiasm. That's how I describe my show. I talk uneducated rubbish. I didn't use the term rubbish. I used the word I used began with B and ended in S and could be also used as the word balls. I talk uneducated ball for an hour with great enthusiasm. That's what I do. And they wouldn't want that. They don't want that on the LBC. Someone would have seen this anyway by now. All right. And that's just how it is, I'm afraid. Thank you, Paul. Paul says in our pub, as soon as the phone rings, people pick them up and suddenly it becomes more important than the conversation they were having. Sad, really. The pub is a place to socialise. Yes, indeed it is. Well, it used to be, didn't it? Till the mobile phone came along. You see them. Tap, tap, tap on there all the time. God's sake, what can they be doing? Ashley says, I prefer ringing than texting. Yeah, Ash, a phone call is so much better. It really is. Hello to Diane. She says, I don't have a mobile phone. They seem to make people ignorant. When you speak and they are too busy looking at their phone, it's so rude. Yeah, you've had that before. Oh, excuse me. You've had that before, I'm sure. You're having a conversation and they get out their phone and start tapping it halfway through the conversation. Rude. My son carries his around everywhere. I call it his attachment. It's weird watching people walking around staring down at their phones all the time. So it certainly is. Cordy says LBC has changed too much. Steve Allen is the best. See, Cordy agrees with me. He is the best. Clive Ball's all right. And I like Nick Ferrari. Now, Nick Ferrari has an awful lot of flair, doesn't he? But that Matt Stadlen, he's not the worst one they've ever had on there. The worst one ever they had on there was a bloke called Nick Majerison. Oh, my God. Talk about wet. It was unbelievable, wet. Another person with flair, and she was not popular, and there was a lot of she said that I certainly didn't agree with. Oh, she got sacked from there for saying something really bad. Of course, what was her name now? And she used to write columns in the newspaper and things like that. Oh, sorry, I can't remember her name now. It was only recently she got sacked. But now she had a lot of flair. For me, you've got to have a bit of flair while you're doing stuff. You know, if you're just going to sit there just being intelligent, you're very boring. Really boring. No one wants to listen to boring people, do they? Or maybe they do. Maybe I've got this all wrong. That's why I'm sitting here in a caravan and they're at the BBC. Paul Goddell loves Steve Allen as well. There we are. N says, I wish we could really know how many viewers were watching. Well, why does that bother you? It don't bother me. I don't know how many people are watching. Why should that bother you? Don't worry about numbers all the time. People are obsessed by numbers. It doesn't matter. If one person is joining in with what I'm doing here, then it was worth doing. You haven't got to have like 10 million people watching. There's probably, in actual fact, then, there's probably about, I would estimate, about 150 million people watching this programme at the moment worldwide. Yes, I'm sure that is the case. That is just a rough estimate, you know. I know, you know, if this was an electrical meter read, you know, I could be off the estimate. I don't know. I could be off the estimate. But that's I'm just estimating, just taking a figure out there. Shall we say there's probably about 150, between 150 and 175 million people watching this programme at the moment. All right? just in case you're... Oh, dear. Handy Andy, have you seen Shirley Valentine's Summer? It has celebrities in it. I think you might like it on ITV Colour. No, I haven't seen Shirley Valentine's Summer. Don't know what that is. Is it a film? Cordy says you can educate with your wit and charm. Charm? N likes my tan, yeah? I'm very tanned. I'm sure I was black, and if we are reincarnated, I reckon I was black once. And this time I've kind of gone sort of about 3/4 of the way to being white again. So in my next reincarnation, I'm just going to be so pale, it'll be awful. No one wants to be pasty, do they? You'd much rather have a tan or be a bit darker than a bit lighter, wouldn't you? We don't want to be pasty. Shania, easier to text, unless, of course, the topic on conversation is important. Yeah, it is easier to text, but I just find it so impersonal, Shania. How are you? Well, just pick up the phone and let's have a conversation. Perhaps that's why there's so many lonely people now, because everyone's texting and no one bothers to ring anymore. I know I ring my niece and my 2 nephews quite often. Like to have and we've got nothing to talk about. All right, how's it going? What you been doing today then? And they tell me, and I tell them what I've been doing. You know, probably I tell them more of what I've been doing than what they've been doing. Sometimes I can hear them, sort of nodding off while I'm telling them, but I carry on. I can be on the phone to hours for them sometimes, and at the end you can just in the distance hear someone snoring. Hello? Katie Hopkins, that's the one, Cordy. Yes, Katie Hopkins. No, it was Katie Hopkins. She was on LBC, and there was a lot. She was very, very far right, wasn't she? There was some stuff on there that I agreed with, and there was some stuff I didn't agree with, but she had a flair. So it was a good show. She had a flair about her. Funnily enough, I was talking to someone the other day on the phone about, how you sort of align yourself perhaps with a political party. And if you've got like sort of any sense at all, you'll pick out the bits from that particular person. Let's just who's the Liberal bloke? It's the old bloke with the bald head in it. Well, what's his name? Cable, Vince Cable, can't remember. All right, say you're a Liberal Democrat, right? And you're probably a Liberal Democrat because out of all the different subjects that you could choose from, you mainly agree with his idea of things. Although there's probably bits of what he says that you don't agree with. But in the majority of the thing, you're voting there because mainly you agree with what he has. What I don't understand, and I know a few people like this, are those that would vote for someone, say, for example, again, him, and whatever he says, you agree with. You are totally blinkered, and whatever he says, you agree with. And I don't understand people like that. There are many people who follow Jeremy Corbyn who are like that. Now, there's stuff that Jeremy says that I like. I quite like the idea of everyone having a home and this being free and that being free. I like the idea of that. But there is stuff there, that the majority of his stuff I don't like, you see. But there are people who, whatever he says, oh, that's great because the great Jeremy says that. Now, I don't understand that at all. Surely you've got a part of your own brain that would, go your own way. But there are people who will just go along the line of agreeing with whatever is said about any subject or two just because that person said it. Which that's odd, isn't it? That is a bit odd. Julie Hartley Brewer is fantastic. She's on Talk Radio in the morning. She's great. She don't take no prisoners. She is great, Julie Hartley Brewer. Thank you very much. Ray says Steve Allen played the Follyfoot musical this morning, Lightning Tree by the Settlers. I don't know that. I'll have a listen to the podcast, all right? Handy Andy. That programme you mentioned is a series. Izzy Cundy, Ingrid Tarrant, Nancy Delorio. Oh, she's that football bloke's. My mate, we've met her. We met Nancy Delorio at Rome Airport, somewhere in it, or it might not have been Rome. I think it was somewhere in Italy, and she had a photo taken and all that with my mate a few years ago. That was, there's some more names he's got in there. No, I've never seen that program, Handy Andy. It sounds absolutely dreadful, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I would like that one. Cordy says female presenters never last on LBC. Oh, they do. I mean, Julie Hartley-Brewer, she switched to talk radio. I don't think she was sacked from LBC. She switched. And Sheila Fogarty, something like that. She was on LBC for some time as well, wasn't she? Yeah, I think she was on LBC for some time as well. So that was good. Anyway, I think we'll wrap up there, boys and girls. We've been chatting away for an hour now, and it's 10 o'clock, so it's time for my pills. It's now time for... And I'm so glad that the messaging system is working fantastically now, which will halve my my data that I'm using. So that's fantastic. I've got all that working. I'm quite proud of myself this morning. Birthdays then. Here come the birthdays today. Happy birthday on this Thursday, the 2nd of August, 2018, to the lovely Diane Strelly. She's 32 today. She comes along to the karaoke. She is the life and soul of the party, Diane. And you get really drunk sometimes and all over the place, but that's okay. You're lovely. Diane, happy birthday to you. Okay, happy birthday to Craig Lee Fides. Is it F-I-D-D-E-S? Is that Fides? Fides? I'm not quite sure. He comes along to Central Station, is a regular customer there. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday today to Harry James, who's 20 years old. Femi, oh, you lovely person. Femi, one of my favourite people. Such a gentle, nice man you are. Femi Femora, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Femi. Brian Beck today is 45 years old. And Paul Dingley, the lovely Paul. I haven't seen you for some time. Paul, we must go out. You, me, and Richard sometime. All right, and perhaps on a Sunday night when I'm in London, and have a little pizza or something like that. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diane, Craig, Harry, Femi, Brian, and Paul. Happy birthday to you. There you are. Look, sung perfectly. I've got to get a speaker in here because when I play the music, I can't hear the music. Oh, actually, hang on a minute. Well, I wonder if that would work. Just a moment. Can I just try something with you? I'm going to sing that again. You're going to get 2 times sung today. I don't know if that'll work. 1 minute. Let me try something here. Put that on one ear. I shouldn't need to have this on the ear. Now, will I be able to hear the music through this or not? This will be very interesting. Now, where's my headphone button on there? Just bear with me for a second, my darlings. Headphone. Where's the headphone level? Level, what's that? Talk? No, I don't want that. Well, I can't find my headphone. Level there. Mic. Pre-fade, main out. Where's a bloody headphone thing then? How strange and mysterious. Oh, hang on, what's that there? That looks like a microphone. Main out. Right, let's just play something and... Oh, I can hear something. 1 minute. What's that do? Oh, yes. Oh, I can hear it, but not very loud. Is there another way of turning that up? Perhaps I've got... 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Is this going very well? Well, I'll try it. See what happens. Just a second. Ready? 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 Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Does that work? I'm not sure if that worked or not. I can't find the volume to the headphone thing on this mixer. It must be here somewhere. It must have one, mustn't it? And you wonder why I gave up the DJing. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing, that's why. N says he grew up with local DJs. Oh, did you really? He says, I'm lovable. Well, you're having a laugh, mate. Anyway, that's it for the show today. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Enjoy your Thursday. Hopefully be back with you at some time tomorrow morning. Probably around about the same time, 9:30, somewhere around there. All right? Have a nice day, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye-bye now.